Okay, good morning, everybody. So let's take a look at the markets and see what's going on this morning. So if we can just ask you to take a few moments to read through the risk disclaimers as we take a look at the main events for today. Just make sure you're comfortable with the terms here. We're not licensed to be able to give advice, so these sessions are purely for educational purposes only. So big issues or big market themes at the moment. Well, as we've all seen from the reaction of Mr. Trump's stimulus sort of notes from last night, stimulus talks are shelved now until after the election. That resulted in many markets selling off. US stock markets coming off quite a huge amount, but this morning they're rebounding. We've also seen news that a couple of the big popular vaccines in development have some serious side effects, which have now been sort of published. So that's not particularly good news on the vaccine front. Today we've got Christine Lagarde speaking from the ECB. She's speaking at just after 1 o'clock today, so that's going to be big news. And also we have the FOMC later this evening at 7 o'clock this evening UK time as well, so that's big news too. Otherwise we've got quite a raft of 2-star and a couple of other sort of 3-star events throughout the course of today, but those are the main events today. So let's take a look at the markets now and have a look at sort of what's been going on since Monday. So on Monday, we discussed in the newsletter few markets here. Let's take a quick review of what sort of happened with those. The Dow, first of all, we were looking at the Dow. If we have a look at this on the daily, and if I just sort of zoom into this a little bit more. So on Monday, the markets were around the or the key level that we were looking at was 27,800 here on the Dow. The market managed to move up to the 28,000 level, which was the closing that trading window. We got the sell-off then right the way back to one of our other sort of structure points here, which is around that sort of 27, sort of 250 area. Right the way through here, and now we've had the sort of rally back on again, and mainly we've been looking at markets above the key 28,000 sort of price point this week, until of course last night sort of changed that again, and now prices are back underneath that 28,000 point. If we come out of this and take a look at the slightly lower time frames here and take a look at the 4-hour, we can see the structure points and we can see the trading windows in a bit more detail here. So at the moment, you can see the aftermath of Trump's comment yesterday, or last night I should say. It's the market's still reacting technically. It's still maintaining within sort of technical decision point areas. So we've got to run up here to around that sort of 28,000 level. I think then we've got that sort of another key decision point area here again, which has been reinforced by support and resistance. From there, we've got the either a run back up to where the market tested on the highs, which again, as you can see, has been previous highs that have been tested as well. So I'd class that as another decision point, but that's still quite a sizable trading window to the long side if we can get through this 28,000 price point. So I think very much is going to be focused on today's price action, whether the market can steam through this or whether we're going to see just a technical retracement here and a return back to the short side. And if we do, well, then we know where the market's going to come to. We're likely going to be looking for testing the current lows, and that's quite a sizable move to the short side. Now below this, of course, then we start to edge down more towards that 27,000 price point. There is a level just around here. It's just above that 27, so it's around 27 sort of 150 area ish, and then we've got that key 27 sort of price point. So although we've got quite a bit of volatility in the markets here, certainly in the US stock markets, the technical structures and the trading windows can certainly sort of help us. We also looked at silver, so let's have a quick review of silver. And again, if we have a look at this on the daily time frame, it's pretty easy to see at this sort of level. Again, what we were looking for was long opportunities if the market could get above the sort of breakout level up here, which is just above that sort of 24 sort of thousand sort of price, $24 price point. So it's about sort of 24,500, 24 sort of 400, that sort of area. It coincides with these highs up here, and it depends whether you're looking at the futures contract or the CFD. But you can see that there's significant support and resistance, quite a decision point here at the highs. Now, of course, the stimulus comment last night shook all markets, and silver and precious metals took a dive here. Again, this one's recovering at the moment. It's still contained within this range, so being contained within this range, it's going to be quite challenging to trade until we get some sort of breakout of it, and that is unless, of course, you're picking up some intraday lower time frame sort of intraday moves. Longer term perspective here, you can see that we've had quite a sell-off here in silver, and I think there's quite a traders are sort of on two sides of the camp here. Are we going to sort of see a break to the long side? Are we going to see a break to the short side and see a deeper retracement on silver? I think, you know, there's certainly some school of thought that these markets, from the overall move here, which has been quite phenomenal, that there is still short side to come. Now, if we do get more short side on this, then I think we've got this move down here to around this sort of 1900 area, and that comes into key support down here, and you can see that right the way across here. This is quite a historical area. So there's certainly, if price gets underneath this sort of low area here, which is around the sort of 22.5 area here on the CFD, then there's not a lot in the way holding the market up, and I think we'll get that move if price gets down below it. At the moment, we're certainly getting quite a bit of support around these areas, and that's why I'm sort of quite keen on looking for a break to the upside. Now, a break on the upside here, if I just remind you of the sort of move that I'm looking for and the sort of trading opportunity I'm looking for. If we bring this down to the 4-hour time frame, and again, if I can sort of zoom into this a little bit, so too far. Here we go. So the move here brings us up to around that 26 sort of price point, that $26 level. There's quite a sizable trading window here to the long side once the market gets above this level, and that's the sort of breakout level that I'm looking for. So at the moment, nothing here at the moment, so still within the range, so still on the watch list from a swing perspective. Okay. While we're looking at silver, let's take a quick look at gold as well. Now, these markets, they are, of course, highly correlated, but we're seeing some rather sort of different chart structure sort of starting to develop between the two. And you can see here with gold that market not looking quite as bullish, looking a lot more sort of negative here. But again, gold is finding some key support on these lows. Now, the interesting thing is that this low hasn't been particularly technical, or hasn't had as much technical strength as silver, but again, it's finding, even though it was not as strong, it's the market's finding some key support here. So that is just again reinforcing. And I think if if gold takes out this lower level like silver, then we're going to see these lows, this next sort of trading window, which is quite a huge, phenomenal trading window. I think we'll see that sort of filled fairly quickly, and that's a nice trading opportunity. But I do think that these markets are sort of pressured to the upside at the moment, and I think we could start to see some some pressure to the upside. So that's why I'm looking at the longs here on gold and silver. We also looked at and discussed the dollar Swiss. So let me come to dollar Swiss. And let's just remind ourselves of what we were looking at here. So we're looking at positions on short dollar at the beginning of the week on Monday, and we're looking at weakness here in a number of dollar-related markets: dollar CAD, dollar Sing, dollar Swissy. Dollar Swissy was our pick, and we picked a trade here on Monday. And again, the trade continued to, or the market continued to move to where we expected it to, and continue to sort of move down. Now, if I zoom into this, you can see the levels a little bit clearer. The reasoning for the trade was actually a break of this sort of level, and we're looking for a move down to the next structure point, which you can see here on the daily time frame. It's a little bit clearer if I bring this down to the 4-hour time frame, and you can see the sort of lows in here. In fact, let me mark in the low in here, which is the area where we got short. So this was the breakout level that we were discussing on Monday. This is the next this is the trading window, I should say, down to this area here. And the market sort of played through that sort of quite nicely. Since Mr. Trump's sort of mentioned last night, the volatility has created strength in the dollar, and this market has now turned around. Interestingly, last night or not last night, yesterday evening, we had got to 4-1 on our original target, which was down here, and we advised to scale out or get out of the trade at that point. And the market came down. It sort of tested the lows again a couple of times before the volatility sort of turned it around. So this trade now has played out, and it played out to the level that we expected. Now it's gone back into the melting pot, and we'll see what happens here with this sort of price action. So let's have a look at additional opportunities going into the second half of the week. If we take a look again, I mean, dollar is the dollar is also another key market at the moment, and it's got quite a lot of movement behind it. One that we've taken a look at this morning, which I'm taking a look at here, is Aussie Cad. Now, Aussie obviously being impacted on the US dollar. Now, in this market, I'm looking at potential sort of weakness. It's not there at the moment. What we're sort of seeing, if we have a look at this on the daily, again, we can see that we've got lower highs starting to form, and sort of lower lows starting to form. Overall, the market's still contained within a consolidation here. And again, if I sort of zoom out, you can see that sort of sideways consolidation. And I'm just looking to see if we can get a bit of a move here to the short side. You can see that we've got quite a bit of divergence in the market, or weakening momentum, I should say, as the market is being consolidating here. And the sort of thing that I've been keeping an eye on is if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, which market's sort of coming into some significant sort of support at the resistance at the moment, back into this level. And again, on the 4-hour time frame, we're in the context of a short trend, and we're pulling back up into a decision point area. If we note the strength of momentum at the moment as well, that's also very weak. It's weakening as the trend is continuing, so confirming the direction here to the short side. So again, there could be some opportunities here on the market if we get it's up to this decision point. If we get a turning point here, then we can start to look at a potential intraday move to the short side. Now, this would rely on weakness coming into the Aussie. Now, this morning the Aussie is strong, but the Aussie has been weak over the first half of this week. So it has historically been weak, and we've just got a bit of strength coming into it at the moment. So again, we're stalking to see if that actually sort of develops. If it does develop, it's more likely to be something on the 2-hour time frame, possibly sort of 1 hour to 2-hour time frame. Start to see some rolling over here. We've also got sort of pivot points around this area as well. So there's quite a bit of analysis that stacks up around this price zone here. Okay, so while we're on the topic here of US dollar, let's just take a look at one of the other, or a couple of the other key dollar markets. Dollar CAD here, still liking this on the short side at the moment. I'm not seeing a setup on it just yet, but the big picture here, if we take a look here on the big picture, dollar CAD has been extremely weak. We've had the pullback into a significant resistance level, as you can see here, and now we're starting to get the market sort of breaking down. So last week's candle to the short side now has been broken. If you just sort of zoom into that, so we can see last week's candle, bearish candle here. This week so far, we've broken the low. It's still not really sort of setting anything up yet, but looking sort of quite interesting if we can get a run down here to the short side. Now again, we've got that nice range here on the weekly. So again, if I zoom in, you can see that we've got some quite nice sort of structure here, and each time the market sort of tested the high side, the top end of this range, it's quite often had a significant move down towards the bottom end of the range, and that's the sort of thing that we're looking at. And of course, it's in the conjunction with the trend as well. So again, if we have a look at this on the daily, you can see the markets are rallied up here, and now the long trend on the daily starting to look a little bit sort of weak, particularly with the style of candles here. It's hit a level. This level here now has been, the market's now found resistance here. It's broken through a lower level on the around sort of 133.40-ish, that sort of area. Then we can start to look for positioning to the short side here. And again, there's some decent size sort of trading windows on these sort of 4-hour and lower time frames. If we have a quick review of euro dollars, I know everyone likes to take a look at the most popular market in the world, or the biggest market in the world. Let's just have a look at what's going on with euro dollar. Again, this has been really quite volatile because obviously it's been the major impact on the back of the dollar moves. If we take a look here on the daily time frame, you can see that the market now is sort of finding some strength through here, and I think the key levels are 117 and 118. So that sort of represents the two sort of levels that we've got here. I don't think my sort of 117 is quite on 117, but you can see that there's significant support through here, and we've also got resistance at that 118. Now, if we can get through 118, then I think we could possibly get up here to around that sort of 120 area, which is the target level on the weekly time frame. Again, this is going to rely on US dollar weakness, and again we started finding a bit of support here at the moment. If we have a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that the structure levels here are starting to make a little bit more sense. So the market came into key support. We've got that bounce. There is also another bit of a level through here on the 4-hour time frame, and you can see that on the chart here. I wonder if you can actually get a bit more perspective on it if we zoom out. So you can see that there's quite a bit of history here with the structure through here. Price has just sort of broken through it and pulled back to it at the moment. So the sort of things that we can look at from an intraday perspective is an opportunity in between from where the price is at the moment, this structure point, to the higher structure point. So that's around 118, where these highs and the market rolled over. So again, if we come down to the lower time frames, the sort of thing that we're looking for is trend formation. We're looking for geometry. We can't see that on the 1-hour chart. We come down to the 15-minute chart, which is our sort of chart of choice for trade execution. You can see here that we're starting to get the moving averages round in the right order. We've certainly got some strength here in momentum coming through on our indicators as well, and pullbacks into moving averages, pullbacks into levels are the sorts of setups that we sort of look for. So again, you know, we've got a support. If this market here can get above this level and close above this level, then we've got support here with this level, and we've got our target level up here around that sort of 118. Of course, with a move as big as that, it's always wise to manage positions and also to scale out as well. So that's certainly something here for the watch list. Okay, so let's come back to a couple of others. So one of the strongest markets, the weakest markets today has been the yen. I've just been through all of the yen markets. They've all had huge moves, so there's not a great deal of opportunities there to get in easily on these markets. You'll see that most of them, you look at markets like sort of Singapore yen, which is probably one of the better ones from a perspective of sort of longevity of trend at the moment. And I say that a little bit with sort of tongue in cheek, but you can see that we've got quite a decent sort of bit of strength here coming into the yen. And again, if we can start to get a breakout above this sort of range, which is not that far away at the moment, then this could sort of open things up for a much sort of deeper run. And the sort of thing I would look for is I'd just be a little bit more patient and just wait for the market to get above these highs here, because the price actions, you know, found resistance there many times. If we get above there, then let's just take a look in here, and we can establish a fairly clean trading window to the long side. And this is a daily time frame, so that's quite a sizable move. The sort of thing again that we would look at from a trading perspective is to wait for the market to get above that level. And you can see here on the 4-hour time frame, it's too far extended at the moment. So we'd need the market to get above that sort of level, and then we'd be looking at these lower time frames, something for a pullback into nice sort of geometry, which we've now started to get on the 15-minute time frames and the 60-minute time frames, and looking at sort of opportunities to get positioned in those. So all of the yen markets are looking a little bit like this at the moment. So I'm not going to go through all of those yens just at the moment. Some that I think are sort of rather interesting though are the a couple of Kiwis. So if we have a look at euro against the Kiwi, and again, the reasoning behind this is, you know, from a much bigger picture perspective, we've got the market coming up to significant levels. And again, if we look at the context of this is a weekly time frame. It's a high time frame. Not a lot of people like to trade on these high time frames, but we look at them for market direction and structure, and then we look at entries on much lower time frames. In fact, our entries are typically on 15-minute to 30-minute to 60-minute time frames, where the risk is a lot tighter and the reward is a lot greater for the move to play out. But you can see at the moment here on Euro Kiwi, we've had consistent higher lows forming here from a weekly perspective, even through the coronavirus crash this year, which created this huge spike in the markets. Now prices sort of settling out. We're seeing a push to the long side here and the top end of this sort of long-term breakout. So we've got a sort of a rising pressure here towards this sort of breakout. If we can get a breakout here, then clearly we've got a bit of resistance through the tops here of these candles. That's still a huge move. Even if you took this on a weekly chart, that's almost a one-to-one trade to that level. But then above that, we've got sort of clear skies for a long time, and it's that's the type of market that I like to look at for longer term plays, because there's not a lot in the way for a decent run. So again, if we have a look at the daily, again, I'm just going to sort of come out of this so that you can sort of see the perspective here from a little bit of history. You can see that we've got multiple tests here of this level. So you've got on the daily, we've got now good three tests recently of the market knocking on this breakout level. We've got higher lows. Again, the market sort of finding support, key support at structure points in the market. So it's reacting technically to the structure points that we're identifying, and the next structure point that we identify is all the way up here, and that's our resistance area, and that would be the ultimate target area for this market. So a break above this high, a break above this level, sees us into a decent trading window to the long side. Come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can start to see that a little bit more clearer here. You can see price is not very far away from it at the moment. We've got some good strength behind this, so we might get a bit of a pause around this level. So we might get a break and a sort of a pullback. That's the sort of thing that we're looking for, and the sort of time frames that we'll look for that type of entry on will be, as I say, the 1 hour down to the 15-minute time frame. So that's all going to occur up here, just above this sort of level point. So that's another one. And again, the other things that actually might help the euro at the moment is that we've got a lot of talk going on around more stimulus and support from the central policy makers in Europe and the bankers in Europe around the ECB, in other words, around sort of stimulus and budgets. So that's something obviously we don't have in the States at the moment, but it seems to be joined up thinking and certainly joined up commentary at the moment on the euro side. So that can only help the euro to strengthen, and the Kiwi's been a particular weak market. So that's again could help this from a longer term perspective. Now, similar on this, of course, is the Great British Pound. The Great British Pound, a little bit more challenging to trade because it blows hot and cold with sort of Brexit discussions almost every day, depending upon what the news flow is. But again, out of the Great British Pound markets, I think the Great British Pound against the Kiwi is again another one that's quite interesting. And again, if we see that sort of strength in the pound sustaining, then again it's going to appreciate against a weak currency like the Kiwi at the moment. So again, you know, market here is sort of finding support on the weekly. Again, we've got these sort of key bounces sort of going on the daily time frames, starting to see some sort of move to the long side. And if we just sort of come down to the sort of lower time frames slightly, you might start to see, let me mark a level in here first. And let's do, if we just look at a level through here, you can see where we've got in resistance at the moment. It's also been support and resistance multiple times in the past as well. Again, if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, again, you can start to see, we probably need to tighten that up slightly, but you can start to see that we've got the highs being tested here multiple times. We've got rising lows all the way through here. Momentum's rising at the moment as well. So again, this could be an opportunity where we might be able to get into a position earlier. With an intraday position, with the proposition of maybe stretching it into a swing position for that longer term move. So again, the key sort of level here is around that 1.96. So I'd want the market to be sort of above that 1.96 level. That's the breakout area, and then look for some sort of pullback on the lower time frames. Okay, so we've been going for about sort of half an hour now. We've gone through quite a few different sort of markets here at the moment. Again, if there's any markets, anything that you're sort of finding interesting, you'd like to take a look at, then you know, always sort of drop that into the sort of questions box, and we'll take a look at those. Again, if you like these live sessions and you find them useful, then hit the subscribe button, and then you'll get notified every time we run these live sessions, and also live training sessions as well, which we're about to plan. And also give us a thumbs up as well, so that we know that these are well accepted, and we'll look to do more of them. Okay, so that's it for this one. Before we go, let's take a quick look at the oil market here. If we take a look at oil, the big thing here with oil, Phil, has been these sort of big levels. I see coming up to the weekly chart here, you can see this sort of level here around the sort of 42.40 area, these previous lows and the high. On the low side, it's been this 39 sort of price point. So I'm not sure if I can get the 39 sort of price point on the weekly chart, but we'll come down to this. We'll bring this down to the daily, and we'll zoom into that. So again, if I sort of tighten this up, you can see that we've got these sort of levels in here. There is some sort of lows sort of forming, but again, we had sort of quite a reversal from a big perspective on oil. Again, I'll trade this on the future, and we've got the CFD here, so the price is slightly sort of different, but the structure points are the same. So whilst the market's sort of stuck within this range, it's going to be sort of quite challenging here to trade. I look here at break underneath the low here, which is around that $39 level on the futures contract. It's slightly under that on the CFD, and also the level through here, it coincides with the highs of price. If you just go back through time here, you can see it also probably a little bit easier to have a look at this on the 4-hour. So if you come to the 4-hour, you can see these levels that the price has tested multiple times. So whilst the market is sort of contained within this range, it's a little bit sort of challenging to get anything more than an intraday sort of move. So today, later on at 3:30, we've got the oil inventories. So that's quite a big bit of news for this market. I certainly look for keener moves if the market gets above this sort of 40-50 area, or it gets below the sort of 39 or the 38 sort of 75 area here on the CFD. Otherwise, we don't have a great deal of sort of trend structure to help us, and sort of overall higher time frame direction on this market. I know the industry wants the market to go higher, and you know, that certainly sort of helps. We certainly sort of see evidence of that when you know, the lows here get get quickly turned around. So I'd certainly be prefer to be trading this onto the longer side. So that's how I see oil at the moment. Okay, so let's wrap it up for this one, and let's take a look at the markets in the trading room and see what we've got sort of going on. But these are some of the best markets that we're keeping an eye on our watch list at the moment going into the second half of the week. Certainly hope it helps, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.